There's a reason education sucks, and it's the same reason that it will never, ever, ever be fixed. It's never going to get any better. Don't look for it. Be happy with what you got. Because the owners of this country don't want that. I'm talking about the real owners now. The real owners, the big wealthy business interests that control things and make all the important decisions. Forget the politicians. The politicians are put there to give you the idea that you have freedom of choice. You don't. You have no choice. You have owners. They own you. They own everything. They own all the important land. They own and control the corporations. They've long since bought and paid for the Senate, the Congress, the state houses, the city halls. They got the judges in their back pockets. And they own all the big media companies, so they control just about all of the news and information you get to hear. They got you by the balls. They spend billions of dollars every year lobbying to get what they want.
Government by the people, of the people, for the people. But the people are retarded.
The best way to get something done, if it holds near and dear to you that you like to be able to, anyway, from Charlotte, another line going from in Florida down to Tampa.
Of Putin's kleptocracy.
Well, I'm sick and tired of smart guys.
Let me start off with two words. Made in America. Made in America.
Welcome back to another night of Shtick with Koolfrogg. Wait, yeah, there you go. What? Huh? Oh, calling me out for being super late. Yeah, it happens. It happens. Not much that I can do about it. Hey, Vicky, how you doing, dear? Good to see us. What? Banana? What? Banana? It's your banana, not my banana. I want nothing to do with that. Anyway, got a few things going on tonight. Trying to actually figure out of my busy schedule, when would be best to actually do local stream. Do I take out like one of these streams? I'm really trying to figure it out, being that they finally got back to me. They finally got back to me and said that they were going to actually give me the abilities to actually stream over there. I'd like to actually do that. So I don't know when is going to be best to do that. I'm going to have to actually do some playing with some scheduling. And I mean, maybe there's just so many thoughts to go along with that in particular. Hey, Squab Bob, good to see you, brother. Good to see you. I know that he's. What is he talking about? Why is he talking about this right away? Well, because it's kind of important. It's kind of important because it really dictates my time and availabilities for almost anything else. So I'm just trying to see what's going to be best. Give me a little bit of time here, whatever. You might see something posted within the next week or so. Being that it's locals, and they're similar to Rumble. They're owned by the same. So when I actually look at it, and I actually, which we're live right here on Rumble as we speak. We are also live on Locals. So if you went over to Locals, you'd actually see that you could actually watch the Rumble stream via Locals. So if you're already a paid Locals member, you could actually go in there and actually watch chat from there as well. I thought I had brought up. Apparently, I didn't bring up my locals. So it's got its own chat feature, and I know that I've used it before, where it didn't really matter when it came to this particular uh, style of stream or whatever, how lengthy it was because of the way it's tied. But now that I have 2 hours available over there for streaming, I really want to utilize that couple hours. No, that's 2 hours at a crack, So it's like that's very helpful for content creation and uh, pushing, any kind of content over there at all is going to be fun. I want to do some readings. I want to do some other things. I know that there's other people that use their locals as more of like a personal place, whatever. Like it's their own, it's their place. This is where they go. This is what they actually consider their safe place. I would assume where they can actually talk to their nearest and dearest of friends. Now, costs like $5 to actually get in there. So, being that it actually costs the $5 to actually get in there, if you can't afford it, there's ways to create ways to actually get you in there at a discounted price. If not, completely free. If it's something that you were interested in joining, I know it's another place. I know. Sometimes doing other things is necessary, and well, like I said, we'll play with it. We'll see if there's anything else that comes out of that, because I have to actually look at time frames, and I'm already kind of run thin per se. So let's get into this. I got a couple of other things other than just the Wray, Christopher Wray, Blinken, John Fetterman, and then like Durham trials. So it's like there's a lot to actually speak about. And I'm not going to read the whole 300-page document. Not here anyway. Not here anyway. That's a process in itself, and maybe will be done. Maybe that'll be a locals thing. I don't know. I just really have to actually figure out time frames and when I actually do stuff and when I'm available, when I'm not available. Once dropped YouTube and went to Rumble, but everyone was here on YouTube. I know, right, Squaw Bomb? Isn't that how it seems to happen? It's like you're just like, well, nobody's going there. There's nobody sitting over there. There's nobody that's, I mean, let's see, what do I got here? I got 2 thumbs up over there. It says that there's one person watching. That's potentially me, myself, and I. I don't know. I don't know. Okay, I don't like that. Let's try presenting the screen another way. All right, so I'm gonna widen this out. All right, so started out here, whatever. So Biden administration clarifies 1872 mining law in huge Nevada lithium mine. And I know you're like, wait a minute here. It says Wray, Blinken, Fetterman, Durham. What's this have to do with that? It doesn't. It doesn't. It's just something else to actually fill this time frame. So Biden administration clarifying its 1872 mining law. So this is the Biden administration says that it has completed a court-ordered review that should ensure construction and continues at a Nevada lithium mine. Now, We've talked about lithium mines before. We've talked about lithium mines here in the States being utilized and potentially being utilized by the wrong people. And they're back at it. They're back at it. They actually went ahead and uh, they're really adamant about actually going after this lithium that's here in the States. Sounds dangerous. At the same time, as a broader response to recent U.S. court rulings that more strictly interpret a Civil War era mining law, the Interior Department announced Tuesday it is taking steps to clarify mineral rights under the 1872 law to reflect the realities of the 21st century. The moves come after the Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals blocked a proposed copper mine in Arizona last year. The appeals court is considering a related appeal filed by environmentalists and Native American tribes challenging construction of the huge Thacker Pass lithium mine in Nevada near the Oregon line. Lithium is a key element needed to manufacture batteries and electric vehicles. A centerpiece of President Joe Biden's clean energy agenda intended to expedite a transition of fossil fuels to renewable forms of energy. Now, what's up, Winning? And hello, Suzanne. Good to see you. Glad you're here. You know, when you actually start thinking about lithium mines and what it actually takes to actually get one of these mines to actually properly extract its materials, what it actually does to the ground pollution wise, and what they're using them for is, the amount that they're extracting and putting into different vehicles, your watches, your phones, anything that has batteries in them. Lithium is used. Lithium's used, widely in multiple different electronics, as well as, like they're pointing out, electric vehicles. So, and that's the way for the future. Electric vehicles. They really want to push these electric vehicles as far as they possibly can, and that's pretty much what we're going to be doing by within the next 7-ish years or whatever. It's going to happen quick. The Ninth Circuit's so-called Rosemont decision upended the government's long-held position. The 1872 mining law conveys the most rights established through a valid mining claim to adjacent land and disposal of tailings in the West or in other waste. Hold on one moment. I have a tadpole coming in here. What's going on? Hold on. Sorry about that. Of course, the second that I start doing something else, tadpole's like, hey, I have something for you. The Ninth Circuit's so-called Rosemont decision upended the government's long-held position in the 1872 mining law, conveys that the same rights established through a valid mining claim to adjacent land and disposal of tailings and other waste. The Ninth Circuit held instead that the company must establish and the government must validate that valuable minerals are present under such lands for a claim to exist. So, pretty much, it's sounding like they want the government to validate. Or the company must establish and then the government must validate. That's kind of, I guess. So, go build something, whatever. Show proof that there's something under the ground. so that we can verify that it's there, and then we're going to give you a bunch of money so you can actually go and you can mine it out of there. And of course, they're going to, government's going to put their hand in it. Uh, what's up, Rose? How you doing, dear? Good to see you. U.S. District Judge Miranda Dew in Reno adopted a new standard of ruling in February that found the U.S. Bureau of Land Management failed to comply with the law when it approved a Canadian company's plan to open the Thacker Pass mine about 200 miles northeast of Reno. Despite that ruling, over the objections of environmentalists, the tribes who now are appealing in the Ninth Circuit do allowed construction to begin in the mine while the agency provides additional proof of company has mineral rights necessary to dump waste rock and tailings from the operation on adjacent federal land. Give them access to the federal land, because you and I don't have access to the federal land. That'd be best, in the long run for them to do such a thing. Apparently, I'm really disturbed if we actually go ahead and actually start, mining out lithium here in the States or anywhere. It really shouldn't be a thing, I don't think. I kind of disagree with it. A group of Native Americans and some supporters have been staging protests since last week near the site where the open pit mine is planned. The mine would ultimately be deeper than the length of a football field. They say the federal law prohibits construction of projects near where dozens of tribal members, peyote tribal members, are massacred by the U.S. cavalry in 1865. So this big, huge area is protected for multiple different reasons, and they're actually trying to say that it's protected for reasons such as the peoples that originally lived there find it as sacred land, and as being that it's actually sacred land, they don't want the government to actually do such a thing or whatever. They want to actually keep it the way it is. The second the government actually takes this land and actually does what they're going to do with it, and then they use the other federal lands that are nearby to actually dump whatever is being pulled out, it's going to ruin all that too. It's gonna ruin an awful lot. Hey, Lucky Chucky, what's up, dude? The San Francisco-based Ninth Circuit has scheduled oral arguments on the Thacker Pass appeal on June 26 in Pasadena, California. Lithium America's CEO Jonathan Evans said in a statement after Tuesday's announcement that they are pleased the administration has established a path forward that allows us to resolve the outstanding matters related in the approval of our Thacker Pass project. Senator Catherine Cortez Masto, Democrat of Nevada, called the Rosemont decision misguided and said it defies more than a century of practice and landscape in the West. She recently introduced a bill with bipartisan support seeking to insulate the mine at Thacker Pass and others from the ruling by essentially adopting language that reverts to the historic interpretation that automatically conveyed established mining rights in the neighboring lands. So I mean, it really seriously sounds like Democrats really want to actually push to actually, get this stuff done, to actually, mine for this stuff. So I mean, dangerous mines. Lithium mines are very dangerous when it comes down to it. They're very deep. Like I said, about a full football field deep. So when you if you stand it up on end, so I mean, if you think about it. The area that would take up to actually go up and around this area or whatever would be multiplied dramatically, and you'd have this very large hole that you're going to send people down to actually go and get this stuff. Now, under the research that I've done on looking at lithium mines and in other countries or whatever, they usually use children, small children, to get them to actually fit into certain places. Now, I'm not saying that's exactly what they're gonna do, but it's been well known that that's what they have done in the past. So, are they going to continue to? Is that what they're going to do? Is we're going to actually have our own working class of children to actually, go into these mines? Let's hope not. An Interior Department official told the Associated Press ahead of today's formal announcement that Biden's administration doesn't intend to challenge the appeal, the Rosemont decision. The official requested anonymity because they were not authorized to discuss the issue publicly. The department issued a new legal opinion from its Solicitor General to provide guidance in mining companies. The new opinion will support the timely review of mining proposals in federal lands, and in one step of many. Interior is taking an updated guidance of mining companies to reflect the realities of the 21st century. This is Interior Secretary Tommy Boudreau. Boudreau is the chairman of the administration's working group in mining regulations, laws, and permitting that expected to offer a list of recommendations sometimes this year to make improvements to the antiquated mining law. Dozens of other mines face similar situations at Thacker Pass. An Interior Department official said Tuesday, "We are not appealing or challenging Rosemont. It makes it clear that the company that if they have a situation in Rosemont or Thacker, you have these options." Officials analyzed more than 100 and nearly 500 individual claims and found only 8 that don't have evidence of enough mineralization to justify citing the waste rock dump there. So, it's pretty much what, when it comes down, it sounds like they're actually doing is they're not really concerned which ones actually have the minerals. They're concerned which ones don't. So the ones that they won't actually go and try mining through is they'll actually use those ones for dump sites. So that you'll see big, huge holes, craters in the earth next to big, huge mounds of dirt that are, strategically placed, to keep them the availability to continue to mine for more and more. They know which ones are which. They know what's going on. They know that what they're going to actually end up doing, and what they're going to do to destroy this earth. And yet they say that coal fire plants are destroying the earth or whatever, and we need to actually switch over to all this clean energy bullshit of wind turbines and solar power plants. And when we actually realize that it takes more natural resources to actually build those plants, solar power plants and wind turbines, than it does to actually just burn it off to actually give us that energy that we need. It's going to handle, all types of situations, such as, no wind or the lack of sun. Solicitor General Robert T. Anderson said that 10-page opinion, the U.S. Bureau of Land Management should not approve a mine operating plan if the record lacks any evidence of valuable mineral deposits in an adjacent land plan for waste rock dump. But he said the agency is not required to conduct a validity determination if there is some evidence of discovery. So, I mean, it's not necessarily that they're just going to say, "Oh, that's the one, go dump it in that one." They're actually going to, they're going to do some analysis on it. They're actually going to figure out where they should actually put it. And it really seriously makes it sound like they're willing to, push forward and continue mining lithium here right in the States, right in the great state of Nevada. Sounds a little disturbing, but yeah, okay. Yeah, I guess if that's what we really want. Let's see. How did I? Let's do. I've got quite a few different options here on articles. Let's do this one first. This is exclusive. Marjorie Taylor Greene introduces articles of impeachment against FBI Director Christopher Wray. So now, it's gonna be the opposite of what we'd actually seen before, as opposed to seeing, Democrats attack, Republicans. You can see Republicans attacking Democrats. And it's going to continue to go through this over and over again. I like being energy independent, though. I like to be energy independent as well. It was wonderful. Gas prices weren't so high. They were still at a reasonable price. We were, when you actually think about it, it is something. No kiddos. Yeah, right. Let's hope not. So you got Marjorie Taylor Greene introducing articles of impeachment against Christopher Wray here. So it says Republican Georgia Rep. Marjorie Taylor Greene will introduce articles of impeachment against Federal Bureau of Investigation Director Christopher Wray. The Daily Caller first obtained a copy of the articles of impeachment. Under Wray's watch, the FBI has intimidated, harassed, and trapped American citizens that have been deemed enemies of the Biden regime. As such, Director Wray has turned the FBI into Joe Biden and Merrick Garland's personal police force. The Soviet-style tactics used by the FBI against normal Americans are unprecedented in this country. FBI whistleblower Garrett O'Boyle told congressional investigators that the FBI created a terrorist threat tag following the Dobbs Supreme Court decision in 2022. O'Boyle confirmed that the purpose of the tag was to target pro-life individuals. On September 23rd, 2022, armed FBI agents in tactical gear raided the family home of Mark Hoke, a pro-life Catholic and father of 7 young children, because he obstructed access to an abortion clinic. FBI whistleblower Kyle Serafin obtained a leaked FBI document that targets traditional Latin Mass Catholics. The document, titled Racially and Ethnically Motivated Violent Extremists and Their Interests in Radical Traditional Catholics, was reported out of the Richmond field office and dated for January 23rd, 2023. This leaked document outlined a plan for the FBI to spy on Catholics, particularly Latin Mass attending Catholics, who, according to the document, have harbored white supremacy. The FBI document indicated intentions to have informants within the Catholic Church or advice from the Southern Poverty Law Center. In October 2020, a group of men allegedly attempted to kidnap Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer. Several of the men were acquitted in the case, as the FBI was found to have entrapped them in the scheme. Most of the members involved in the plot were FBI informants, they added. This is kind of something that we've kind of actually hit on a couple different times or whatever, this whole Gretchen Whitmer thing. This is something that Radix had actually covered in depth. That was her big thing when she was here, whatever it was, to actually cover this particular topic of Gretchen Whitmer. So then, being that they're actually coming to the point of actually asking for impeachment of Christopher Wray due to the stuff that he's actually done, due to the things that the FBI has actually done here in the States, It's really kind of disturbing to actually see how far things have actually gone, that we have to actually go to the point of actually trying to impeach FBI directors. It's just like, what? We're impeaching FBI directors now? Okay. Sounds fun. Is that going to stop anything if we impeach an FBI director? Uh, Not only has Director Wray persecuted political opponents in an unprecedented and partisan way, but he has also overseen his agency take actions and shield and protect the current president of his family and his family. The senior FBI official left the agency under a cloud of accusations that he shielded a laptop belonging to the president's son, Robert Hunter Biden, from a criminal probe. And it's unacceptable for the director of FBI or any civil officer to exercise his power in a way that targets one political class while doing favors for the other. Therefore, by the powers vested in Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, as duly elected member of the House of Representatives, she has officially introduced articles of impeachment against the corrupt FBI director, Christopher Wray. So this isn't the first person that she's actually done this to. She actually, first day, actually threw in articles of impeachment toward the current potato of the United States. So when he actually comes down to it, and you start thinking about it, you're like, oh, okay, so how many people are we going to actually bring up on charges of any type for impeachment? When you actually, it comes down to it, you're like, oh wow. So you can see there's a 6-page House resolution for the impeachment of Christopher Wray. So 6 pages of it. There's quite a few bullet points in there. So this is impeaching Christopher Asher Wray, Director of Federal Bureau of Investigation, for facilitating the development of federal police force to intimidate, harass, and entrap American citizens that are deemed enemies of the Biden regime. Resolved that Christopher Wray, Director of Federal Bureau of Investigation, is impeached for facilitating the development of federal police force to intimidate, harass, and trap American citizens that are deemed enemies of the Biden regime, and that the following articles of impeachment are exhibited in the United States Senate. Articles of impeachment exhibited by the House of Representatives in the United States of America in the name of itself and the people of the United States of America against Christopher Wray, Director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, in maintenance and support of impeachment against him for facilitating the development of federal police force to intimidate, harass, or entrap American citizens that are deemed enemies of the Biden regime. The Constitution provides that the House of Representatives shall have the sole power of impeachment, and that the Director of Federal Bureau of Investigation, as a civil officer of the United States, shall be removed from the office of impeachment for the conviction of treason, bribery, and other high crimes and misdemeanors. In his conduct as Director of Federal Bureau of Investigation, in violation of the constitutional oath, faithfully to execute the office of Director of Federal Bureau of Investigation in the best of his ability to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States, Christopher Asher Wray continues to materially endanger the justice system of the United States and empower the President Joseph R. Biden Jr. to persecute his political adversaries at will, rather than adhering to the oath he took to defend and secure our country and uphold the Constitution when he was sworn in as Director of Federal Bureau of Investigation on August 2nd, 2017. Director Wray was willingly refused to ensure that the laws passed by Congress and signed by the president are faithfully executed. Director Wray has failed to uphold his oath and has instead overseen the denigration of the principles of our democratic republic by utilizing the Federal Bureau of Investigation as a federal police force to punish or or intimidate anyone who questions or opposes the current regime. Director Wray, who became a lackey of the Biden regime, persecuting the enemy of the handler, including both public and private citizens, the FBI has taken unprecedented actions to this end. Hey, Great Liquor, good to see you. I see you over there on that Rumble side. Director Wray has become a lackey of the Biden regime, persecuting the enemies and handlers, including both public and private citizens. The FBI has taken unprecedented actions to this end. The FBI conducted an unprecedented raid on the home of the 45th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, on August 8th, 2022. These are not my words. These are the words of the article. I'm not suggesting that that was such a thing. It is simply just their words. FBI whistleblower Garrett O'Boyle told congressional investigators that the FBI created a terrorist threat tag following the Dobbs Supreme Court decision 2022. O'Boyle confirmed that the purpose of the tags was to target pro-life individuals. And why we go after pro-life individuals? Oh, okay. It sounds like something that we should always just do that, right? Whatever. On September 23rd, 2022, armed FBI agents in tactical gear raided the family home of Mark Hoke, a pro-life Catholic and father of 7 young children, ostensibly because of the obstructed access to the abortion clinic. Former FBI special agents and federal whistleblower Kyle Serafin obtained a leaked FBI document that targets traditional Latin Mass Catholics. The document, titled Racially and Ethnically Motivated Violent Extremists and Other Interests of Radical Traditionalist Catholics, was reported out of the Richmond field office and dated January 23, 2023. This leaked document outlined the plan for the FBI to spy on Catholics, particularly Latin Mass attending Catholics, who, according to the document, have harbored white supremacy. An FBI document indicated the intentions to have informants within the Catholic Church on advice of the Southern Poverty Law Center. On October 2020, a group of men allegedly attempted to kidnap Michigan. They're going to go through that again. So then, not only has Director Wray prosecuted political opponents in the unprecedented partisan way, but he has also overseen his agency take actions to shield and protect the current president and his family. The senior FBI officials left the agency under a cloud of accusations that he shielded a laptop belonging to the president's son. It is unacceptable for director of the FBI or any other civil office to exercise this power in a way that targets one political class while doing favors for the other. Wherever, given the above-mentioned unprecedented actions, takes the FBI to subvert freedom and democracy, and the fact that the American people deserve a transparent justice system and law enforcement that keeps them safe, not entraps them in serious criminal activity, Director Christopher Asher Wray merits impeachment. Article 2. Director Wray, in his failure to uphold the oath and he took, has been, by his actions, lost the trust of citizens of the United States to faithfully execute the laws of the United States. Director Wray's actions can counter the steps that employees of the executive branch must take to avoid an appearance of loss of impartiality. Director Wray has demonstrated that he will remain a threat to the justice system of the United States of America if allowed to remain in office, and has acted in a manner grossly incompatible with democracy, self-governance, and rule of law. Wherefore, Christopher Asher Wray thus warrants impeachment of trial, removal from office, disqualification to hold or enjoy any office or honor of honor, trust, or profit under the United States. She's pulling out all stops and says, done, removed. Let's remove you completely. Let's disallow you from running from any other office whatsoever ever again. She's got, like I said, she's got papers on this guy now. She's got papers. Ray must go. I'm with you on that, Great Liquor. Ray must go. There's no reason that this guy must be around or must be able, must stay around, stick around, or any reason whatsoever. He is a horrible pile of trash. And Marjorie Taylor Greene is she's got the biggest balls in the government right now. She's the one that's doing most all the stuff that we want people to do. It's her. Of all the things that we want people to do, she's the one that's doing it. She's the one that's actually making it a thing. Go MTG. Yep, exactly. Great Liquor. It's so good. It's so awesome to actually see what she's actually doing. So, she's going to bring him up on, to try and impeach him. She's going to try and impeach the president of the United States of America. Who else do you think she'll actually try bringing up on charges? I can see her trying to do a heck of a lot more when it comes down to it. I can see her trying to do a lot more. So then there is something to go along with this particular thought. Maybe not. I don't think I thumbnailed a couple things that I was supposed to thumbnail tonight. Looks like I don't have the article that I wanted. Oh well. I guess we'll just kind of skip on to the next. That sucks. There was something more about Marjorie Taylor Greene and Christopher Wray and the proceedings and the reasonings why she was actually doing what she was doing. There's going to be a lot more coming through on this particular subject, on this guy, because if this is just the initial paperwork coming up on it, there's going to be a lot more that's going to come through. Real quick before we hit the next article, everybody don't forget to hit that like button for me. Share this out, let all your friends know where we're at. Subscribe to the channel. I'm going to try actually pushing through these next couple of articles here, whatever it is. I can see that I'm approaching that first hour. I have to limit myself on how long I'm actually here. I really do. I have to make sure that I, get myself the sleep that I need to function for tomorrow. Do it live. Do it live. Oh, I seriously, that's the best that I could actually do. There was something more that was within an article that actually pointed out some of the reasonings. Like I said, we'll definitely hit on that a lot more. There's more and more to come out of that particular situation as it unravels. She's just now filing articles of impeachment. It's going to be a little bit. This isn't going to be something that we're actually going to be like, oh wow, he's impeached. Nah. Nah. There's going to have to be some committee stuff that's going to have to happen. That should be fun to actually watch and go through. So then let's do. As you can see, it says Wray, Blinken, Fetterman, and Durham. Right? There's a lot. There's a lot of goings on right now, happening with all these top officials, these appointed top officials. Top House Republican to hit Secretary of State Blinken with contempt charge. Oh, really? Texas Republican Rep. Michael McCall is planning to file contempt of Congress charges against Secretary of State Anthony Blinken this month after top Biden administration official has refused to comply with a series of subpoenas. Now, he had been requested to actually show up several different times for these hearings, and he's refused. He's refused over and over again. Thinks that he's above the law. Thinks that he can get away with doing whatever he wants to do, and he's going to be okay. I don't think that he's going to be okay. I really don't. If they're going to actually go through and actually file contempt of Congress charges, that's going to actually make it be that he actually has to actually come forward, as opposed to just willingly come forward and allow them to question him. It kind of sounds like he might be guilty of something if that's the case. McCall, who chairs the House Foreign Affairs Committee, has attempted to have Blinken come before the committee numerous times. Now the top Republican says he plans to introduce the contempt charge on May 24th. It will then likely move to the House floor for a full vote by early June. Quote, I don't take this lightly because of the Secretary of State's never been held in contempt of Congress before. And I think the Secretary realizes that the gravity they probably prefer not to go down this route as well. But if they do not comply, we're prepared to move forward next week with a markup for resolution of contempt. So, articles of impeachment on one, then all of a sudden you go after the other one. You're like, you're unwilling to work with Congress. This is your job. They're questioning you. They want you here to question you, and your refusal, it really sounds fishy. Even if passed by the House, the contempt charge would largely be a symbolic move, as President Biden's Justice Department would likely decline to prosecute the case. McCall first floated the possibility of a criminal contempt charge last week. Blinken and the State Department have blown past multiple deadlines to provide documents relating to President Biden's botched withdrawal from Afghanistan in recent months. So I mean, they have legit reasons to actually question him on, the withdrawal of Afghanistan. Everybody knows that they have legit reasons to actually question him on the thoughts of what happened in Afghanistan. That the government was supposed to be by the people, for the people, not persecution and opposing parties. I know, right, Squaw Bob? Isn't that something? I would agree our country was almost divided in half, but I didn't expect it would not wish for everyone to capitulate to my Puritan ideals. Let's compromise. Compromise on what? What is it that the compromise isn't being had on? Because I mean, it seems as though, in my opinion, that it's the left that's not able or wanting to compromise on any of it. They're like, it's our way or it's no way. And when the right comes through and they throw any thoughts or ideas at it, it gets sidelined and curtained like it's nothing, whatever. Let's just move on. So I don't know, Skull Bob. kind of an interesting idea. Even if passed by the House, the contempt charge would largely be a symbolic move, as President Biden's Justice Department would likely decline to prosecute the case. And I don't see them prosecuting the case. I really seriously don't see them prosecuting the case whatsoever. It's just, you come forward, allow the committee to do what they need to do, or be held in contempt. The department is now in violation of the legal obligation to produce these documents and must do so immediately. Should the department fail to comply with its legal obligation, the committee is prepared to take the necessary steps to enforce its subpoena, including holding you in contempt of Congress and initiating a civil enforcement proceeding. McCall and his fellow Republicans seek access to materials, including a dissent report from the U.S. Embassy in Kabul, dated just before Biden's withdrawal plans were set in motion. Dissent reports detail any misgivings U.S. officials may have with a current plan of action. Blinken blew past the original deadline to supply the documents in March, then again in April when McCall pushed back the deadline. McCall set its latest line in the sand on May 1st, and Blinken again refused to provide the documents. So his immediate, complete and total refusal to actually go along with what they're actually asking him. The Biden administration is under heavy fire this week on many fronts. The FBI is forced to make a big admission after special counsel John Durham released the findings of this year's long investigation into former President Donald Trump and alleged Russian collusion. Durham found the FBI used uncorroborated intelligence and launched its investigation into Trump before the 2016 presidential. We're actually going to go through some of the Durham stuff here if we have the time to actually do so. I really would think that, yeah, we're going to have some time. We'll have some time to actually go through some of the Durham stuff so you can see that, when it comes down to it, all this stuff is really seriously tied to each other. This is all President Biden's administration. This is the stuff. This is the ugliness that he's allowing to be pushed across. Each form of anything, whether it's the FBI or any other branch of anything, the corruption is disturbing, and it's thick. We're sitting in it. We're sitting in it, and we're just gonna sit there and allow it to actually occur, like it's nothing. It don't matter. It's all right. No, it's not. About an hour. So then I do have to make sure that I hit on Fetterman and Durham. So let's do the funny. Let's go with Fetterman. It's actually kind of hilarious and what he actually did today. This is supposed to be the lighter note of the day. This is supposed to actually give us a little bit of hilarity as opposed to actually being so entrenched in everything else. So then, come on. A new video of Fetterman shows he's unfit to serve as Senate. What a freaking joke! So you can actually see this is actually from today. So this is the mental health of John Fetterman is back in the news after a video from Senate hearing further proves that he is unfit to serve. Earlier this year, the Pennsylvania Democrat checked himself into the Walter Reed and for the clinical depression. We know about all this. So then when it came down to it, his embarrassing moment today was as he was part of the this committee that's actually investigating the Silicon Valley Bank collapse. So then we'll go straight to the video of Fetterman and his.
Is it staggering? Is it a staggering responsibility that bank could literally crash our economy. It's astonishing. That's like if you have, I mean, like, and they also realize is that
It's like if you haven't, and he seriously reminds me of Joe Biden. He reminds me of Joe Biden, like to a T. Can't complete a sentence.
now they have a guaranteed way to be saved by no matter by how, you know. So it's you know.
But how, I mean, and when you actually watch that and you actually see, hear, his thoughts, he's like, it'll be saved, but by how? Maybe he's actually, when you actually think about that thought that he actually just had in his brain, or the lump in his neck, or wherever the thought did come from, when you actually think about it, but how? Is maybe one of those questions where he seriously questioned something that nobody else questioned. Because us and he's like, but how does that work? Wait a minute here. You can't print money to make money. That's not how it works.
Isn't it appropriate that this kind of control should be more stricter?
Stricter, more stricter. Now I'm not the grammar Nazi when it comes down to it. And it's like certain things, like I know the difference between your, and your. I know that. When it comes to other things, some of it I don't, but stricter. The way he actually said this, I just kind of like, what the hell did you just say to me?
More stricter?
More stricter?
To prevent this kind of thing from going? Or should we just go on and start bailing and sailing whoever bank, regardless of how their conduct is?
They're like you've only been going for 50 seconds. Keep going. You got more to say. We know that you got more to say. There's no way that's all you have to say. You have to have a lot more to say than that. Come on, Mr. Fetterman. Let's go.
I'll give you an example. The Republicans want to give a work requirement for SNAP. For a hungry family has to have this kind of penalties, or some kinds of working required. Shouldn't you have a working requirement after we sell your bank with billions of your bank? Because they seem to be more preoccupied than SNAP and requirements for works for hungry people, but not about protecting the taxpayers, that will bail no matter whatever does about a bank to crash.
Huh? Can anybody clarify what he just said to me? Does anybody understand that last 20 seconds of what came out of his mouth? Is that every single word was wrapped up in another word's bullshit, and he just like opened up and regurgitated absolutely nothing of thought. And this is a senator. Like I said, this was just supposed to be a little moment of a little bit of a fun time of actually, laughing at the idiocy of this guy. Syllable sandwich. That's a good one, Gray. Syllable sandwich. When I seen this today, I'm like, they're going off of this Like the article seriously is about him in particular. Like several articles. Okay, let's. You heard what he had kind of said there. I didn't mean to actually pull this down yet. It wouldn't let me. So this is the mental health of John Fetterman is back in the news after a video from a Senate hearing further proves that he's unfit to serve. Earlier this year, the Pennsylvania Democrat checked himself into the Walter Reed. Since leaving the hospital, he's returned to congressional duties and carried on as if nothing has happened. Despite his Democrats' best efforts, however, he constantly demonstrates that he does not have the mental capacity to serve as a senator. Now, I talk about the guy like I don't think he has the mental capacity to serve as a senator. Do I think I have the mental capacity to serve as a senator? Now, I would disagree with that. I would say probably not. I should not probably be responsible for that many people. I'm responsible for for my wife and for my child, and that's probably more than enough. I really don't think that I would be fit for it either. But goddamn, if this guy is not fit for this. When it came time for Fetterman to question the former CEO on now defunct bank, instead of asking a question, he gave a series of rambling, incoherent, disjointed statements. And that's exactly what that was. Rambling, incoherent, disjointed statements. There were zero things of context to actually ask a question of any sort. The video showed Fetterman clearly struggling to collect his thoughts. He's constantly, however you want to say it, tripped over his words, repeated himself, and jumped from one disconnected thought to another. By the time he gets around to actually possessing a question, it is almost impossible for the CEO to answer, as the purpose of the question is unintelligible. There is no question. There was no question. Don't try saying there was a question there. There was zero question in that. Naturally, in response, many people took to Twitter to point out how embarrassing this is. One Twitter user compared his incoherent rambling to the gaffes of president. Yep, exactly. Gaffes of the president. Exactly that. He is Joe Biden's seriously, he is Joe Biden. Fetterman is Biden. Biden is Fetterman. I mean, it's kind of almost fits. It's like that's exactly who they are. What a freaking joke, right up there with the Bidens. Yep, exactly. Others, however, took to the more sober approach to the affair, pointing out that it was sad to see him struggling through the hearing and hoping that he gets the help he needs. Oh, of course, really depressing to witness. I hope he gets the help that he needs. Oh boy, ouch, hard to watch. Kind of sad. Yep, definitely. That was rough. This is so sad to watch. This poor man needs to go home and try to heal. He can't do his job. Breaks my heart that my family and the DNC would humiliate him in this way. The video is hard to watch and really sad. It shows the man is struggling with real health issues, both mentally and physically, and that is drastically affecting his ability to do his job. If that is drastically affecting the ability to do the job is not for you. This is not something that Fetterman should be doing right now. This job is not for him. This is not his. There's nowhere in any way, shape, or form that we should actually be looking at it, that this guy is fit for this position, for this job, as anybody. It's way weird and very strange. I wish we would. that the people would actually wake up and actually think about it. Okay. So then, just because I know once I actually hit Durham and I actually go through the article or two on it, that I won't want to actually move on. So before we actually hit on that in particular, I'm going to hit these last couple of thoughts before we go over and do that. What's this one again? Oh, okay. Well, I'm just talking to myself. Don't mind me. I'm going to actually show these couple of articles that I have sitting here that are not Durham related before we actually hit on some of the Durham stuff. And here we go. So there's a couple of goings on that are kind of interesting. Now we've actually talked about this circuit attorney Kim Gardner out of St. Louis on a couple different instances. It looks as though she's actually stepping down, leaving the office as of today, resigning, no longer to hold that position. Let's hope that this position actually gets filled by somebody that's not so overly funded by the likeness of George Soros. But you can see here it says the circuit attorney has worked with the St. Louis County prosecuting attorney Wesley Bell and his office to ensure the comprehensive transition plan is in place to handle cases that prioritize public safety effective immediately. Kimberly M. Gardner will end her service in the city of St. Louis Circuit Court. Circuit Attorney Miss Gardner has been committed to serving the people of the city of St. Louis and has done all she can to ensure a smooth transition. Further inquiries about ongoing cases can be directed to the St. Louis County Prosecuting Attorney's Office. Yes, exactly. Great Liquor. Yay. Goodbye. See you later, Kim Gardner, you witch. What's up, Gohag and Fetterneck? Isn't a potato two completely different parasites? Yeah, right. The Second Amendment advocates win major challenge in New Jersey's strict concealed carry law. Governor Phil Murphy gave a victory speech to his supporters today as a Second Amendment group won a preliminary injunction against part of New Jersey's gun control law that restricts the ability with those with carry permits to actually carry firearms in public. That's a win for the people. That's awesome when it comes down to it. Go Hagen says 5 people on the poll. I see this here, and it says, "What's the greatest threat to this country? A, the government. B, white supremacy. C, international terrorism. Or D, aliens." And then he says E, crime. You couldn't actually do all 5 if we actually did the poll. We could only do 4. It only gives us that option. So I'll actually put up a legit poll. We'll raise a poll. erect it for all of you wonderful people here. What is the greatest threat to this country? And he gave 4 out. He gave 5, but we're only going to be able to do 4. So A is government. 2 is white supremes. International terrorism. All right. And I mean, I was putting crime for the last one because we'll speak of D. We'll speak of D being potentially both, or the aliens that you had put up there as potentially both international terrorism and crime. It really seriously can be something that's interesting. The one that everybody should go for, if you're still with me here, go hit that pole. Go reach up there, touch my pole. It's very erect. We'll take it down here after we're done with the Durham stuff, or after the Durham stuff, most likely. So you got a little bit of time to actually reach up and touch that pole. So as you can see, it says the Second Amendment group had won the preliminary injunction against parts of New Jersey's gun control laws. So New Jersey's gun control laws, red tape laws or whatever, are about to actually maybe potentially lose, which could actually be very interesting and fun in itself to actually see. Oh, you meant legit aliens. Oh, okay. You see how I took that? So then it also says that House passes 3 pro-law enforcement resolutions. The U.S. House of Representatives approved 3 resolutions. The bills allow federal law enforcement officers to purchase their service weapons at retirement, make assaulting a law enforcement officer a deportable offense or illegal for illegal aliens, and express gratitude for local law enforcement departments while condemning efforts to defund them. So our House Republicans, as well as 4 Democrats, actually signed and said yes to all of this stuff or whatever when it came down to it. Hello, touch your pole. Yes, touch my pole. Yes. It's sorry, Rumble. It's on the YouTube side only that you can actually touch the pole, but you can make yourself over there for a few seconds, touch the pole, come back, hang out and wait for the pole to explode to end. The package of bills passed 218 with 218 Republicans and 4 Democrats. House Democrats hammered away at the language in the House resolution that they say belies Republicans' true feelings about federal law enforcement officers during National Police Week. Great Liquor says I reached over and had a touch. There you go. Good stuff. Got a nice little reach around. Good stuff. House Democrats hammered away at the language of the House resolution. They say it belies Republicans' true feelings about federal law enforcement officers during National Police Week. During debate on 3 resolutions in the House of Representatives on May 16th, James McGovern said language in one of the bills is a slap at Capitol Police who protected Congress on J6. I guess it just shows that Republicans only support some of the police, which is wrong. It's wrong. We all know it's wrong. We watched the Summer of Love. We watched what happened across the United States in multiple large cities as BLM and Antifa destroyed lives, homes, businesses just because they felt like it. HR 2494, HR 3091, and CR 40 make illegal aliens who assault police automatically subject to deportation. You come over here, you assault a police officer, you assault anybody. You commit a crime before you're actually an actual citizen of the United States. Bye-bye. Don't come over here breaking our laws and thinking that it's okay for you to do so. In my opinion, don't think that's fair. Allow federal law enforcement officers to purchase their service weapons when the guns are. Of course, I went back. While condemning efforts to defund and dismantle police departments, much of the debate focused on CR 40 as Democrats claim the Republicans are slighting federal law enforcement. CR 40 expresses gratitude for local law enforcement and condemns efforts to defund or dismantle police departments. But what? That's where the argument is in that, in the gratitude for our law enforcement and condemning those that actually are going to try to defund or dismantle them. That's where your argument is. You have a big argument that's such a thing. The fuck, get out of here. McGovern said Republicans have previously introduced CR 5, a bill in honor of all law enforcement officers. He said CR 40's language honoring local law enforcement was a conscious decision to exclude federal law enforcement. He said no Republicans could or would explain the change. It was a conscious decision to exclude federal law enforcement. I don't think that's what they were doing. I don't think they were trying to exclude anybody. I think all law enforcement should actually, be protected in itself. I really do. So fucking sick of hearing about J6. Fucking night in New York City, entire population wise, is worse. Yep, I know. I know. But they're going to continue to bring it up. They're going to continue to bring it up because it's a talking point. It's a talking point for them to actually continue to push to say that Republicans are wrong. Nobody will help to solve the mystery to find. I find it disgraceful, McGovern said. Michelle Fischbach, Republican in Minnesota, and other Republicans countered that several Democrats backed the defund the police movement that grew out in 2020 George Floyd protests. Fischbach said that the other side of the aisle is playing word games to draw attention away from the fact. And that's exactly what they're doing. They're playing games. They're playing stupid ass games. When you play stupid ass games, usually, you win stupid ass prizes. Fuck around, find out type deal. So for them to actually, push for this is kind of, disgusting in itself. She pointed out that at the same point that 117th Congress Democrats are accusing police of racist policies, outline policing methods that kept officers safe, and voting to remove qualified immunity from police. Qualified immunity is a legal principle that protects government officials, including the police, from being sued for actions taken during their regular duties. Which, obviously we've seen like they've pointed out with the 2020 George Floyd stuff or whatever, when you actually go back and you see what was going on, you really see that there really wasn't qualified immunity for the police anyway. Guy's gonna sit for 25 years. Oh yeah, don't forget, there's good time. I seriously, I find that one so freaking stupid on how they've actually, held Chauvin up for that particular case, gave him 25 years, put him through federal courts, gave him the same concurrent 25 years, so it runs this at the same time. Minnesota has a 2/3 law. Dude's not going to sit 25 years. It's not going to happen. They shouldn't have qualified immunity. I mean, I'm kind of beside myself on the thought, because when it comes down to it, how are they, when it comes to certain officers and certain things, certain ways of how things are actually, obviously body cameras are going to come into play. There's going to be a big thing. What's up, Darth? Darth says the feds don't have the same good time standards. It's Minnesota law. I know. He'll do all of it. At least 90%. No, he won't. I'm telling you. I'm telling you, he won't. The brave men and women who risk their lives every day need to know that we support them. It is time for leaders to stand up for law enforcement and to stop the anti-police rhetoric. McGovern responded to the Republicans' proposed spending cuts 2 weeks ago and resulted in actual cuts of local law enforcement. They're the ones who voted to defund the police, McGovern said, and that's exactly what it is Democrats are the ones that actually have been wanting to defund the police forever, and now they're twisting and turning and trying to point fingers to the other direction, which is dumb. Rumble hasn't fixed their effing chat yet? Sure it has. It's still there. It works just fine. John Rutherford said that the prior passage was resolution. It could take months to deport an illegal alien who had assaulted an officer. If you assault one of our officers, we're kicking you out of our country. The House also passed H.R. 3091, which allows federal law enforcement officers to purchase their duty weapons when they retire or when the weapon is deemed surplus. Prior to passage of the law, the firearms had been destroyed. Fishbach said this meant that the government had paid twice for the weapon. I guess, when it comes down to it, if they're allowed to purchase it, is the government actually paying for it? Because it sounds like it was just handed to them to use for that purpose, and then they bought it back, which means that the government didn't purchase it in the first place. That's this stupid argument. Now the government will recoup part of the cost. Rutherford, a retired law enforcement officer, said the police officer, his duty weapon is more than just a gun. Your sidearm is more than just a sidearm, he said, which is understandable. It's like when officers don't always all carry the same exact gun. They all carry something that's something similarly different that would actually fit their needs and ease of use, as opposed to everybody using some standard, which I know most of them do. Most of them are standard. Most of them aren't that far off from each other. But you do have those abilities. AI is like, y'all gotta go. Reach a point where we think programmed AIs are more neutral and fair. It's scary. You must have been watching Winning Reality. Must have been watching Win in Reality. So, on to Durham. Now, we got like about a half hour left. So, we're going to do what we can. Do what we can here. So, share screen. So this is a Durham report on Trump-Russia investigation, what led to it, and what happens next. This is an article from AP, so, grain of salt, huge grain of salt. An investigation into the origins of the FBI's probe into ties between Russia and Donald Trump's 2016 presidential campaign has finally been concluded. Prosecution John Durham submitted a much-awaited report that found major flaws. The report, the culmination of a 4-year investigation into possible misconduct by U.S. government officials, contained withering criticism of the FBI, but few significant revelations. Nonetheless, it will give fodder to Trump supporters who have long denounced the Russia investigation. Meanwhile, Trump opponents will likely point to Durham's team meager court record, one guilty plea and 2 acquittals at trial, as proof that probe was a politically motivated farce. I saw they were already smearing Durham. Yeah, go figure. Who is John Durham? Durham has spent a decade in Justice Department prosecutor, and past assignments included investigations in the FBI's cozy relationship with mobsters in Boston and the CIA's destruction of videotapes and his harsh interrogations of terrorism subjects. He was appointed in 2019 to investigate potential misconduct for the U.S. government officials as they examined Russian election interference in 2016 and whether there was illegal coordination between Kremlin and Trump's presidential campaign. Now, remember, this is just an AP article. I'm just reading what AP has to say. Despite skimpy results, 1 guilty plea and 2 acquittals that failed to live up to Trump's expectations, Durham has able to continue his work well into Biden administration, thanks in part to William Barr appointing Durham as a Justice Department special counsel shortly before Barr's 2020 resignation as Attorney General. Why did Trump's Justice Department think such an appointment was necessary? The appointment came weeks after the different special counsel, Robert Mueller, wrapped up his investigation of possible connections between Russia and Trump campaign. That probe produced more than 24 criminal cases, including against a half dozen of Trump associates. Though it did not change any Trump aid with working with Russia to trip the election, it did find that Russia interfered in Trump's behalf and that the campaign welcomed rather than discouraged the help. From the start, Barr was deeply skeptical in the investigation's foundation, telling Congress that spying did occur on the campaign. He enlisted an outside prosecutor to hunt for potential misconduct at the government agencies who were involved in collecting intelligence and conducting the investigation, even flying with Durham to Italy to meet with officials that are part of the probe. Click Draw Jimmy. Yo, what is up? I'm here and quite intoxicated. Good to see you, brother. Glad you're here. That's so fun. Glad you're enjoying your time in Colorado. That state that has a border with with Mexico. Not. There were problems with the Russian investigation. Yes, the Justice Department Inspector General inquiry already identified many. The watchdog report found that FBI applications for warrants to eavesdrop on the former Trump campaign aide Carter Page contained significant errors and omitted information that would likely have weakened or undermined the premise of the application. The cumulative effect of those errors, the report said, was to make it appear that the information supporting probable cause was stronger than was actually the case. Still, the Inspector General did not find evidence that investigators acted with political bias and said that there is legitimate basis to open a full investigation into potential collusion through Durham though Durham has disagreed. We don't think about borders, only mountains. Yeah, mountains are great. What criminal cases did he bring and what was the outcome? Durham brought 3 prosecutions during his tenure, but only one resulted in a conviction, and that was the case referred to him by Justice Department Inspector General. None of the 3 undid core findings by Mueller that Russia had interfered in the 2016 election in sweeping fashion. A former FBI lawyer, Kevin Kleinsmith, pleaded guilty in 2020 to altering an email related to the surveillance of ex-Trump campaign aide. He was given probation. But 2 other cases, both involving alleged false statements to the FBI, resulted in acquittals by the jury. Michael Sussman, a lawyer for the Hillary Clinton campaign, was found not guilty for lying to the FBI during the meeting in which they presented computer data information. I remember that case. I totally remember that case. But not found not guilty. A different jury acquitted Igor Danchenko, a Russian-American analyst, of charges that he lied to the FBI about his role in creation of a discredited dossier about Trump. What specifically did Durham find? Durham found that the FBI acted too hastily and relied on raw and unconfirmed intelligence when it opened a Trump-Russia investigation. Acted too hastily and relied on raw and unconfirmed intelligence. Go figure. If we didn't already kind of realize this, I don't know, maybe some 6 months ago, maybe. Wink, wink. He said at the time of the probe was opened, the FBI had no information about any actual contact between Trump associates and Russian intelligence officials. He also claimed that the FBI investigators felt prone to confirmation bias, repeatedly ignoring or rationalizing away information that could have undercut the premise of their investigation. And he noted that the FBI failed to corroborate a single substantive allegation from the dossier of research that it relied on during the course of the probe. An objective, honest assessment of these standards of information should have caused the FBI to question not only the predication for Crossfire Hurricane, but also to reflect on whether the FBI is being manipulated for political or other purposes. The report said using the FBI's code name for the Trump-Russia probe, unfortunately, it did not. What is up, Tweety? Good to see you, dear. How did the FBI respond? The FBI pointed out that it had long ago made dozens of corrective actions. Had those measures been in place in 2016, it says the errors at the center of the report could have been prevented. It also took pains to note that the conduct in the report took place before the current director, Christopher Wray, took the job in fall of 2017. You go figure. It was the guy that was before Christopher Wray. Huh. Does anybody know who the guy before was, who the director of the FBI was before Christopher Wray? So then, the Andrew McCabe, right? Right? We actually talked about him. We actually talked about him in a couple other things here tonight. So, Andrew McCabe might be the guy that we might have to actually take a look at a little bit closer. What happens next? It didn't take long for Republicans in Congress to react. Jim Jordan, who chairs the House Judiciary Committee, said that he had invited Durham to testify to Capitol Hill next week. So, I mean, that's something to look forward to. We should actually be able to, hear some kind of testify of coming from Durham. Could be fun and interesting in itself to actually maybe watch or pay attention to at least. Trump too sought to seize the report, claiming anew in the Post in his True Social platform that Durham report had found the crime of the century in calling the Russia investigation the Democrat hoax. Though the FBI says it's already taken some steps to address the problems cited in the report, Durham did say it's possible more reform could be needed. One idea, he said, would be to provide additional scrutiny for politically sensitive investigations by identifying an official who would be responsible for challenging the steps taken in a probe. Kind of sort of what they already do. They already appoint special people to do these things. He said his team would had considered but did not ultimately recommend steps that would curtail the FBI's investigative authorities, including its use of tools under the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act to eavesdrop on suspected spies or terrorists. So, the happenings with Durham and this Russia. It's something that's been going on for a while. They've been pushing this for some time, and now all of a sudden they're looking at it and like, well, when we actually look at it a little closer, so then, not that we really actually care about what CNN says, but at the same time, Jake Tapper says Durham report is pretty damning for the FBI. So it says CNN's Jake Tapper broke down several key aspects of John Durham's explosive report after it dropped it on Monday, in which the special counsel cited the FBI and Justice Departments for fabricating a false collusion narrative between the GOP presidential nominee Donald Trump and the Russia behind it ahead of the 2016 election. Durham finally released his report, finding that the FBI, in his view, should have never launched a full investigation into possible connections between Donald Trump, his campaign, his advisors, and allies, and Russia during the 2016 election. But they did anyway. They went ahead and that's exactly what they did. They went against anything that they should have actually done to cause more issues. And Even this report, it's more than 300 pages long, has spent about 4 years on it. What else did he have to find? Tapper asked, according to Mediaite. Well, Jake, the bottom line that John Durham finds is that there's a reason for the FBI to at least do some preliminary investigation, some lower level types of investigations, but he repeatedly says that he doesn't believe the FBI took into account a lot of information that they had in their possession. Oh, like a laptop? Hmm. That's exculpatory. That would have been exculpatory, and that would have explained some of the suspicions that they have had about Donald Trump, about some of the people surrounding his campaign, Perez responded. Perez went on to say, of course, we know that, there's plenty of suspicions in part because the former president brought on a person in Paul Manafort, the campaign chairman, who is deeply indebted to a Russian oligarch, somebody who is very close to the Kremlin, someone that is just one of the many points, the data points that the FBI is following up with the way they did the investigation. And the bottom line, he says, is that the evidence gathered in the multiple exhaustive and costly federal investigations in this matter, including the instant investigation, neither U.S. law enforcement nor intelligence community appears to have possessed any actual evidence of collusion in their holdings in the commencements of the Crossfire Hurricane investigation. He's saying, look, he spent 4 years looking at this. He investigated a lot of different things. The FBI made a lot of mistakes. At that point, Perez read the statement about current FBI Director Christopher, claiming that they implemented several reforms since the Trump-Russia collusion hoax probe. A lot of people who follow law enforcement might not be surprised that, in general, sometimes there's an overzealousness in an effort to, Tapper responded to Perez and cut to say, confirmation bias is that Durham calls it. Confirmation bias is what Durham calls it? Oh, okay. Yeah, confirmation bias, agreed Tapper. Not political bias, Perez claimed. Yeah, no political biases here. Zero. Zero political biases to be seen. It has nothing to do with politics. No. It doesn't happen with presidential candidates and presidents, though. It happens with, Tapper said it as Perez added, to the little guy in the street. And they don't get 4-year multi-million dollar investigations to exonerate them. But, it's good to have accountability, he said. Through Durham did not recommend anyone who prosecuted for launching what he clearly defined as a bogus investigation into, at the time, a top presidential contender that continued after he was president, despite there being no evidence to justify it. Durham over and over again. I just want to say disband, not defund the CIA, FBI, ATF, IRS, DEA, and all other domestic terrorist organizations. Michael Hagan, America shirts are first.com, only the most base shirts on the planet. Abolish all 3-letter agencies. He actually has several shirts over there. You get like 15% off of with promo code Koolfrogg. If you really that adamant about disbanding these particular 3-letter organizations, maybe try supporting that. Give yourself a shirt and give talking points, because people walk up to you, they see that, and they'll be like, "Oh, what's that?" And they're going to ask you about it. They're going to talk to you about it. And maybe more and more people can actually wake up to the situation, because you, sir, seem very, very clearly awake to the situation. But you know it's good to have accountability, he said, though Durham did not recommend anyone be prosecuted for launching what he clearly defined as a bogus investigation into the time of the top presidential contender continued after he was president despite there being no evidence to justify it. Durham's report noted that the Department of Justice and FBI failed to uphold their mission of strict fidelity to the law in launching the probe. For his part, Trump responded to Durham's findings with a mix of anger and concern. I, and much more importantly, the American public, have been victims of this long running treasonous charade started by the Democrats, started by Comey. He told Fox News Digital, there must be a heavy price to pay for putting our country through this. And I agree. I agree. This country seriously has been put through a whole list of bullshit, lies, deceit, complete and total narrative push from the left to actually make it sound like everybody on the right's dumb and has no clue. Jimmy, I see you over there on that rumble side. You forget I live in California, like the epicenter. It's fine. It's fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Those are the people that we need to actually get checked. You need to actually, but I'll check them out. Yeah, I mean, it's he's got other stuff. It's not necessarily just the those 3-letter agencies, but because you're so adamant about the 3-letter agencies, it's just something that you might actually find interesting. Frogman, I don't see Shirts comment. Shirts isn't here. I haven't seen Shirts yet today. I just, because I know that I have the abilities to actually throw that out there, it just made me feel it's necessary to do so. So, even CNN's actually gone to the point of actually realizing that, this is not good. This is not good. This isn't anything that's going to actually help in the long run. This is actually going to hurt. This is actually going to destroy more things. Just saying, they're like zombies. People still wear masks. That's crazy, bro. There's no conversating because they won't talk to you. They'll just kind of look at you and be like, eh. I did have one other. I don't know if this one really had too much different in it, but being that we still have about 13 minutes before I go away for the night, the less original conspiracy theory finally came crashing down Monday night when the release of Special Counsel John Durham's report on FBI's handling of Trump-Russia collusion allegations. The GOP electorate, however, was vindicated. The report comes after nearly 4-year probe into the FBI initiated and executed its investigation in the Trump administration. Known internally as Operation Crossfire Hurricane, the probe is exhaustively reported on over for the past 4 years, with revelations that the sourcing of infamous Steele dossier and how it was used to justify surveillance in the Trump campaign slowly dripping out in increments. Throughout this time, the left has derided any allegations of wrongdoing and the part of intelligence agencies as a rabid conservative fever dream. However, Durham's final report shows that all of the individual developments coalesce into a larger picture that a so-called conservative fever dream is in fact a reality. What is up, P. Beaver? Good to see you. Good to see you. That Rumble side's starting to wake up. Y'all hit that thumbs up button over there for me. Ultimately, the core finding of the report confirms that the conservatives have suspected all along that neither U.S. nor the intelligence community appears to have possessed any actual evidence of collusion, that other holdings of commencement in the investigation, that certain personnel like Peter Strzok and Lisa Page investigating Trump had predisposition to do so, and that the standard used to open an investigation into Trump was noticeable departure from the standard used against Hillary Clinton. Durham did not mince words in the report. The objective facts show that the FBI's handling of important aspects of Crossfire Hurricane matter were seriously deficient. He firmly stated, explaining that the FBI used raw, unanalyzed, and uncorroborated intelligence in the basis of Trump investigation. So now, basically what I did here is, if you actually see, I grabbed something from Conservative Brief, I grabbed something from the Daily Caller, and I grabbed something from AP. Now, AP is supposed to be considered down the center. Conservative Brief, some would kind of say, oh, they're a little bit left. And then you have Daily Caller. Daily Caller would be a little bit more to the right. So you can kind of see the differences between the three on where their objective actually is and where they're actually trying to push us to actually think about this particular goings on. So that, when it happens to be, talking about Crossfire Hurricane, and what actually happened for the longest time, and how they were actually able to spend the money to do such a thing, is very, very disturbing. It's very, very disturbing, and you can still see that, even AP was kind of like, oh, it's kind of, spin this a little bit to make it sound like, there was more to it. No, there really wasn't more to it. There really wasn't more to it. It was exactly this: raw, unanalyzed, uncorroborated intelligence. So they just went ahead and they did what they wanted to do. He continued by placing the blame and loss and confidence in the FBI squarely at the agency's own feet, as a more complete record now shows that the specific areas of Crossfire Hurricane activity in which the FBI badly underperformed and failed, not only in its duties to the public, but also in preventing the severe reputational harm that has befallen the FBI in the consequence of Crossfire Hurricane. Even the corporate press, which for years covered for the intelligence agency, had to admit the gravity of the situation. The Hill reported that Durham's report issued a scathing assessment of the FBI's process, which CNN issued an uncharacteristically spin-free headline that Durham's core finding that the FBI never had, that the FBI never should have launched. The full collusion investigation, unfortunately, the press will never admit to complete failure of their part. Of course not. They don't want to actually go ahead and show complete failure. If they show complete failure, it's going to show that they're no good at what they're actually supposed to do. They failed to actually spin the narrative that they wanted to spin, and none of it stuck. They threw a whole box of spaghetti at the wall and zero noodles. They forgot to cook it first. Everything keeps on just falling right off the wall. Dumbasses. Unfortunately, the press will never admit to complete failure, but will continue to uphold narrative that, where they can. Much of the reporting emphasizing that Durham recommended no new criminal charges be filed, and that his findings were at odds with previous investigations before getting into the meat of the damning core conclusion. It was wholly predictable, however, at the time, as time goes on, the left, including the entire corporate press, will focus more on haggling over the semantics in the report rather than addressing its key points. Perhaps this is calculated strategy to protect their own reputation after years of being willingly duped as intelligence agencies. Perhaps they're less calculated and merely trying to insulate their egos. Either way, it is clear that journalistic truth has not been a priority for quite some time and is unlikely to become so anytime soon. Furthermore, their audience is unlikely to hold them to account. While the legacy media cares mostly about ratings and protecting their own status, their audience cares mostly about maintaining the steady diet of moral superiority they have been fed since Trump walked down the golden escalator in 2015. Neither will ever admit that Trump might have been right. He's been right all along. Just saying. Hey, Clumsy. How's it going, dear? Good to see you. But for once, the miasmatic media environment is not fully to blame. Most reading or writing the headlines were just going along to get along. They had no real say in the understanding of what got reported. Those who initiated the investigation and developed a narrative and intel officials, key Democratic Party leaders and strategists, the media executives are to blame. All of those people, intel officials, absolutely. Democratic Party leaders, strategists, you may actually want to actually include some Republican Party leaders in there. Some of them rhinos that had lots to do with this, that allowed such a thing to actually occur. They're the handful of nefarious actors who consciously made the choice to lead America down the path of division and destruction. These are the very same people who are now attempting to whip Americans into a frenzy over a so-called suppression of particular tally. Yet there are ones who suppressed it in 2020 and are attempting to do it again in 2024, which is false and wrong. We all know it's wrong. We all know who the most legitimate president of the United States is, and that is Joe Biden. That is Joe Biden with the most votes ever. But like I said, I grabbed 3 articles, one down center, one more to the left, one more to the right, to actually show you the difference in how they're actually spinning this and where they're actually going with it. And it really seriously sounds that even the left has finally figured it out, that they're like, oh shit, what the fuck did happen? I can't hate it here for real. Staying on base all day blows a big one. I adore the mountains though. I mean, I would assume that if you stay there, that eventually you get yourself off base. Is my assumption. So that, I mean, you might actually, stick it out. Who knows? Seems like almost there's 2 Americas, more so than I can ever remember. Yeah, exactly that. Go Hagen. When it comes down to it, it seems is that's what and they're going to continue to push it that way, and so as much and even more division than it had already been. They don't want this to actually, they don't want us to get along. They really don't. Maybe grab some off-site work and earn that freedom. Okay. Sounds good. Good to see you, Moosey. Nice spot in the hills. Yeah, definitely. There's definitely some decent places up in some mountains. Definitely. Technically, Jimmy Carter can run again. Let's go. I mean, he might be a little bit more cognizant than what Joe Biden is. Just saying. With a 24th live feed of the mountains. I'm headed home soon. It's cool. Was in the mountains today. Go ahead. That's awesome, brother. I'm excited to actually have you come back home because of this. You get back to the those daily conversations and fun that we like to have. It's been a bit. So, all that being said, thank you all so very, very much for joining me tonight. If you haven't already, please hit that like button. Share this out to all your favorite places and let all your friends know where you hang out. If you can do anything else, that would be go over to the Rumble side, hit the thumbs up button if you haven't done so. There is a locals feed that is actually up. That is gonna actually, I'm gonna stop the chat on that as well. Remember, stay in tune as I actually have abilities on vocals that I didn't have before, and we'll be producing hopefully some kind of content there for the vocals community. That is just another opinion.locals.com. Don't forget to actually check out americashirtsairefirst.com. Promo code Koolfrogg get you 15% off anything off of that website. Check out the Rumble side for him as well, and hopefully maybe he'll actually show up tomorrow night. I didn't know if he was going to show tonight. Oh, before we go, let's take down the poll. Released. The poll has been released. What is the greatest threat to this country? Government, 75%. Crime, 16%. White supremacists, 8%. And international terrorism came across at 0%. It seems as though the 12 people that voted are not concerned with what is happening at the southern border. They're okay with it. They're like, whatever. Whoever said the white supremacists, I hope that we can actually hold conversations with you and hopefully try figuring out what we can do to actually help you with that thought process. Crime should be higher, I feel. Clickjaw Jimmy says, yeah, it almost kind of seems like it should be a little bit further up there as opposed to the 75% saying that the government's the issue or the greatest threat to this country. When the government stops working for the people we're supposed to replace the government. We've yet to do so. And I'm ready and willing to actually watch that actually happen. So, again, thank y'all. Love you so much. And later, we'll try giving you an outro here. Let's give you something.
I don't want to live on this planet anymore.